This club's about winning trophies. I'm inexperienced in a lot of those things.
3-0. Sorry for smiling there.
Almost lost the cup and you win it. The new European champions, the treble, the dream come true for you.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pod.
Woo, sir. How we doing? Put a stake in it. Put this season down. Put it down. The 23-24 EPL season is a wrap. 38 games. Finally, long season, started in August. Here we are in May, mid to late May, and the worst season in the modern era has come to a close. 8th place finish cemented today. We did finish with a win, arguably undeserved. That first half was ugly as it gets, giving Brighton loads of chances. Onana coming up with a bunch of big saves. They should have definitely gone ahead in the first half. We were better in the second half, but about the same story of the season. United getting away with one on the road, and hey, good riddance. Season's over. Looking forward to the FA Cup final. You never know. Chance to surprise ourselves, but either way, looking forward to a nice summer. Maybe changes afoot. Who knows? Been a lot of rumors going around in Manchester United these days. But how are we feeling? So the season's just about over. One step closer to the end.
Another famous Alex colloquialism. It's the put a fork in it, it's done. Put a steak in it. Feed it some steak.
Give me some steak. I need steak.
Put a steak in it.
I'll tell you what.
You put a steak in Dracula that is this season? Is that the...
this season was basically something that had to be put down.
Put a fork in it.
You couldn't even believe it was dead yet. You had to stick a steak through its open heart and get me some steak, because I think this team's got an iron deficiency. They're just not a lot of effort.
I woke up this morning and I was happy. I was happy before the game was even played because I didn't really care about the results. At the end of the day, this is just closing the chapter that is 23-24 in the English Premier League, and obviously a little nervous about the FA Cup. We'll get to that. We're going to break it down and preview it on this pod. But as far as Brighton goes, it's fitting we end the season in the same fashion that we played it. Brighton with more XG, cooking us tons of chances their way. We were wide open, didn't have a clue, and then the quality in the second half. Some great finishes, some great goals from Højlund. Look, as a United fan, I love it. It's great. It's what it's about. Smash and grab 3 points away at the Amex Stadium that we like to call it. Apparently it's the Farmers. It's got a new name. But there's something about doing that every time and finishing in 8th, right? And so that's for me why this season just has that bad taste. It's because I want to see something we can build on for next year. I want to see the end of shit football. I want to see the end of Brighton cooking us and Bournemouth and Sheffield and Burnley and United not looking like they can string passes together or get anything going. And so the fact that we ended the season on a great 3 points, stealing it away and having to watch the first 60 minutes of that game that was horrific, is very fitting because it started with Wolves. It ends with Brighton. Both ended in a win. But on the eyes, there's not a lot to build on with how we're playing. And as a United fan over 38 games, I can say, I'm good. We're done. 8th. No Europe from the Premier League. We can still get Europa League, Hans and Franz by winning the FA Cup. So we got to think about that. And the glass half full case is, hey, 2 wins on the trot. Could have played City. Hopefully they're tired from all that winning.
All that celebrating.
And I'd like us to put up a better fight than we did last year. So let's hope we can do that.
No, it's a fitting end to how the season started. 38 games. I hate to say it, there's a lot of different formats in a lot of different sports leagues around how you decide who's the winner. There's something perfectly simple and straightforward to how they decide it in top flight football. So the team that walked in to Old Trafford at the beginning of the season that laid an egg and somehow got away with a 1-0 win against Wolves is the same team that clapped off the fans. Falmer Stadium, former Amex Stadium, like you said, Farmer Stadium, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But it was the same team all year. We overperformed our XG in terms of how we performed on a pitch on a week-to-week basis, but that's because I think we have some really good players that are able to bail you out in the aggregate over time. So it's been a horrible season. It's been a season of excuse factory and fighting between the fans and just bad performances, lack of effort, coach being all over the place saying kind of nonsense stuff to keep people on his side. And it's just been exhausting. So either way, season's a wrap. On to the next one. FA Cup final. Maybe we can have a positive end to the season. That would be nice. Even if and when we fire the manager, who knows what's going to happen there. We'll talk about it in the news in a little bit. It would be fitting to win the FA Cup and then fire your Dutch manager, because that's Manchester United. We've done that before with Van Gaal, but I'm hoping we have a positive outcome. I'm not expecting much because this team, you expect anything, they just let you down.
No, it's a good point, but obviously the ghosts of Coventry are going to haunt us. You have City, who just look unstoppable generally. We got to talk about that briefly here. Obviously, City, 115 reasons they are champions 4 times in a row.
Cinderella story.
Absolute riot on how that's going to be dealt with by the league. Apparently, they're thinking in fall, and then maybe they're going to deal with it in 2025. Like, that's the timeline. So, like, City's literally going to be... Pep's going to be back, by the way. And they're not even going to, like, give him a punishment until maybe 2025, or the result of the charges is not going to be dealt with, because obviously it's very litigious and complex. And the fact that cloud is hanging over them that long is crazy. Pep hanging around, don't like to see that. Klopp leaving, love to see that. Tons of great Klopp memes keeping me happy throughout the week. And then getting 3 points. It's great.
It's great.
It's great.
Everything's great.
Everything's great. I almost wish we were. I almost wish Coventry was in the final, because we could just right now just kick back and relax. Unfortunately, we cannot. We have to just worry about not getting embarrassed in the FA Cup final, which is possible. I have to think that we're going to give City a game. Last year was very unfortunate. The Eriksen in the midfield, De Gea with the error. We were never really in it, and it wasn't a great showing. And for me, the killer is the fact that we played in that way, gave City the treble, and then we didn't come out this season like full of piss and vinegar. Like, that should have been the motivation for this team to really get together and go on a serious run this year. And for us to have as bad of a season as we had, like, how can I trust this team in the final? I want to, but it's hard for me.
No, I mean, come on, man. I'm in the same position I think all United fans are. We're going to get up for it. We're excited for it. There's always a bit of magic. You look back in the history books going against teams who were outgunned. You think of that 77 final, that beating that Liverpool team that was going for their own trouble. But I know who these players are, especially this season. Last year, I feel like, that team had more momentum than this team does, and this City team's arguably better than last year's team. So United, I just want us to be in the game. Like, there's something especially disappointing about conceding, 15 seconds in last year. That was just like a gut punch, because as soon as the game started, it felt over. And like you said, it could be spring break, summer break for us already, but it's not. We've got another game to break down. I'm just hoping that United, put some pride on the badge. You don't even have to win. Just go out there and play with heart and do the fans proud. The fans are going to be out in good voice. It should be quite the weekend in London, because Leeds are going to be down there for their own playoffs, and things are going to be popping off Saturday, Sunday. So shout out to all the Manchester United fans. Stay safe. Root on the lads. And you know what? Maybe we'll get pleasantly surprised. Maybe this shit sandwich will have a little side of dessert on the way out.
Quick PSA for the podcast. If you like the American Red Devils, we are for fans by fans. Been here all season breaking this shit sandwich down.
Brick by brick.
We do not have any sponsors on the pod. We want to save you time, and we hate ads on podcasts as well. So we keep them out of here. We're 100% fan-backed, 100% fan-supported via Patreon. Check it out, www.patreon.com/American Red Devils. Behind-the-scenes episode every single month, and tons of other benefits. If you're a top American Red Devil, you listen all the time, and you want an extra episode, sign up, support us. It goes a long way, because, again, it's just me and Alex in the bunker, sweating during the summer months, bringing you that transfer news. AmericanRedDevils.store. I got a serious one for you. The sale of the Eric Ten Hag Red Army scarves. This man can be gone in 7 days. $4.99. Back the man. Back the bold manager. His picture is on the scarf. Has the famous EFL Cup, the sixth in our club's history. How could we ever get rid of the Dutchman? He brought us EFL Cup glory. It's what United is all about. Grab that scarf. $4.99. And sir, tell them about iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews, 5-star reviews, wherever you listen to the American Devils podcast. It's a great way to support the pod without spending any of your hard-earned money. And even better, we're giving away free merch. All you have to do is write a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify and send a screenshot of that review to AmericanRedDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I'll personally pick a package of some free ARD gear send it right to your door anywhere in the world. Here's a great 5-star review from Steve CLYG, one of the best American football pods. The ARD podcast is one of the best soccer podcasts for fans in the States. The true Muppet take and passion these two have for their club keeps me coming back. Even as an Arsenal fan, this is a must listen to each week. Thank you, Steve. I don't care how good the pundits are. I'm not sure I'd ever listen to an Arsenal fan, but appreciate the support and appreciate the great review.
Well, I get it because it's like when Arsenal like blow it, I go watch AFTV. So maybe United's such shit that like we got Arsenal fans and other fans coming to listen to us flounder. It doesn't make sense in some sort of way, but whatever. Everybody's welcome here. Let's get into it. The last match of the 23-24 season. All right, Brighton 0, Manchester United 2. It's the Falmer Stadium, not the Farmer Stadium.
Palmer?
The stadium previously known as the Amex. We had Onana in net, Delo, Martinez, Casemiro, Wan-Bissaka back line. Amrabat, Mainu, Garnacho, Diallo, McTominay, and Bruno. What do you make of that 11?
I was glad Ahmad started again. That's great. He's earned that spot. Martinez back in the fold. He's a punt for the FA Cup final. I see what he's trying to do there, and he brought up Ron off the bench as well, so that could be what he's thinking. Otherwise, no big shockers. I thought you might be see Højlund at this point, but he's stuck on the bench, sir. What did you think of this 11 when you saw it?
Look, I thought it was a good 11. Obviously, shout out to Martinez coming back in. I mean, it's interesting formation. Bruno with false 9, Scott getting forward. Then you have Garnacho and Diallo playing wide. So it's almost like the 4-2-4, if you could call it that, with Bruno kind of interchanging with McTominay. Regardless, we had to be up for a game because pre-match it came out De Zerbi's last game would be today, which was very interesting. And we're getting into the manager rumors, the rumor mill in the news. Jumping in first half, Brighton dominated us. It's not what you wanted to see. We had the home win against Newcastle, looked a lot better. This was exact back to shitfootball.com, at least in the first half. We got beat in the 13th minute. Onana put in a nice foot save. 18th minute, another save from Onana. It was to the point where I couldn't believe we were keeping these out. But you know what? You don't take your chances. You're going to get punished, and that is what happened today. It's almost like the strategy of conceding so many opportunities where the other team gets tired, and then you hit him on the counter late in the game. That seems to be back to where we were today.
Rocky IV approach. You just take a pounding, take so many blows that the Russian just runs out of energy, and then you push him over.
29th minute, Martinez with a big block off the line. 32nd, Pedro receives a great layoff, should score, but scuffs it just wide. I couldn't believe they didn't score. Oof. And the Martinez goal line clearance, welcome back to Manchester United. Welcome back to the firing line that is our back four. Oh my God, that first half, you and me were just like, we were watching watching the title race at this point because we were just seeing our goal just get like peppered because it's not enjoyable to watch. It's just there's nothing there. Mashed potatoes, football.
It's like in the past, even under Fergie, it's like you'd have games where you didn't play well, you're not getting away with it. You got away with one, right? Like where they have chances. I think the Arsenal game where De Gea was like insane and we pipped it with like 2 shots on target. That's fun in small chunks. This whole season has just been us getting outplayed, and then in this case, getting outplayed by teams below us from a lot of variables. So it's like it just gets old after a while. Just getting away with one, you're like, oh yeah, like Onana, big save, couple clearances off the line.
No, but there's like a big save, and then
every
there's
game's like this. Every game,
and there's like 70% field tilt in your third the whole time, like off the line, clear it. Like there's just nothing we could do. And it came out in the second half, same thing. Casemiro, another insane line clearance. He's had some errors at center back, but he has had a ton of clearances off the line. 55th minute, McTominay had a nice chance in the box. When he got forward, he was getting opportunities, but just couldn't have the finishing act there. 60th minute, sub Evans for Højlund and Bruno for Martinez. Obviously, you have to be thinking towards the final with Bruno, hoping there was no injury or anything there. But having Højlund come on seems to be doing well as a sub, so I like these changes. What about you?
Yeah, he came off hungry. I'm hoping Bruno is just to keep him fresh for the final, right? Because we need him in the final if we're going to have any chance. So I'm hoping he's not injured again because that was a big loss with him out those 2 games.
Started growing into the game here. Ahmad beat his man, drills a shot that was tipped over by the keeper. Then we had another sub, Varane on for Amrabat. And then, sir, in the 73rd minute, Dalot getting forward. Big goal from the Portuguese national.
Casemiro. Oh, it's come right the way through, and Manchester United take full advantage. Diogo Dalot, not for the first time in this second half. He's at the front of the Manchester United attack. Brighton weren't expecting that, and out of nothing, United go in front.
In terms of chances created by Brighton.
Look, great ball from Casemiro, bounced off the Brighton defender right into the path of Dalot, who was keen and jumped on it, and good finish from him. It's smash and grab.
No, a bit of luck. Nice ball at the top from Casemiro. Gets a lucky bounce off the defender. But hey, he does well in a decent position. So good on United. I mean, this is the story of the season, right? It's like getting peppered, have our team kind of hold, not break. And then second half just takes one opportunity to get back into it. It's about the chances you take, right?
Then another double sub from the manager, 75th minute. Eriksen and Rashford for Kobe and Ahmad. I didn't mind these subs. Nice to get Rashford back on the pitch. But, too many subs for me these days. It's like, there should be 3. I don't like how they've permanently added the 5. I don't like that.
Well, I don't think they're undoing that. And I think these subs were very much like last game, Eriksen's last game, probably, unless he features, which he could, in the final for Manchester United. Same with Varane, but I think Varane get him minutes. Maybe he can feature for the FA Cup final, I think that's why he did so many of these subs, but it didn't matter.
No, but back in the day when we were like, it'd be like 3 subs, and you'd have to really think about it and save one, and it was like the decisions. I felt like there was much more pressure. And now people are kind of, it's like that preseason, just bring on bodies. I get it because they play a lot of games. But I was thinking about it that it's a lot.
I agree with you. It takes the stakes down a little bit, but they need
3 to 5.
They need 5 subs. Maybe it should be 3 instances, but you get 5 players. There should be more players because they play so many fucking games now that it's kind of ridiculous.
And then Højlund coming on, super sub in the 88th minute.
Højlund. And that wraps her up for Manchester United. So easy. Eriksen and Højlund combining. And it eases Manchester United to what, in the end, will be a comfortable success.
Look at that Copenhagen connection, the 2 Danes. 1-2, Højlund. What a finish. Looking great coming on as a sub. Looking really good. I feel like when he starts, he was getting a little lost. And then coming on, I feel like defenders are tired. He's taking them on. That physicality kind of helps him a little bit.
100%. Especially when he's needed some goals in these last games, went through a drought, bring him off the bench. His physicality and his speed. And I love that. I wish we saw more of that this season. Eriksen's certainly leaving at the end of this year. It's a shame he didn't feature more this season, given how quality of a player he is. Even when we missed Bruno, Eriksen didn't just kind of slot in when he's the heir apparent in this team. But nice goal from Højlund. He hits 10 in the EPL in his first season. Not bad for him. 16 across all competitions. So decent haul in his first season in the Premier League. And a player showing a lot of promise. And that's the best thing about this season. The season's been a disaster. Him, Garnacho, Kobe, Ahmad. That's the thing to be excited about.
Absolutely. That's the future of Manchester United. The future is bright, but there's a lot of uncertainty in that future. But as far as a young talent in the team that can come through over the next couple of years, it's great. Looking at the stat sheet, that was it. 2-0. Manchester United get the dub, 3 points. We'll get into the table shortly, but quickly on the XG front, Brighton 1.86 to Manchester United's 1.26. Unfortunately, they're creating more opportunities. We were wide open for probably 65 minutes. We've seen that all season, so no surprise there. It also was away, so it is hard under the Kosh away. They had 17 shots, again, conceding tons of shots, which is what United has been doing this year. We had 11. They had 3 on target to our 4. They had more of the ball. Pass accuracy for Brighton, 90% to our 85. Regardless, we get the 3 points. The only thing that matters. And that table, it would end. Man City are your champions. 115 reasons why they are
Cinderella story
at the top of the table. Arsenal, number 2 with 89 points.
Hell of an effort.
Scouse Bastards, number 3 with 82. Villa in 4th, 68. They get the Champions League. Tottenham in 5th with 66. Chelsea 63 points in 6th place. That was where we should be, unfortunately. Newcastle, 60 points with 23 goal differential. We tie Newcastle on 60 points, but we have -1, finishing the season with -1 in 8th place. It is our worst finish in the Premier League era under the manager Erik ten Hag. We do not have our worst points total. That came from Ralph Rangnick with 58. So if there's something you're holding on to, it would be the fact that we had 60 points. Rangnick had 58, but that got him 6th. That did get us Europa League football. As you remember, West Ham balled it on the last day of the season there. Also, Liverpool lost the title on the last day of the season. We were actually at that Crystal Palace game, and we ended up losing. So, so when you're measuring bad seasons, this one for me is by far the worst. And it has to do with the 58 goals conceded, which is the worst in the Premier League era. Manchester United has never conceded more goals, and I think that's just a tribute to the season. Like you look at how many shots we conceded, we were bottom of the barrel and conceding tons of chances, wide open all year, and you get 8th for that type of football, which could be worse. Honestly, if you look at today against Brighton, it could have been worse.
100%. It is the worst season, and from a place perspective, points, I mean, it feels the same. It feels worse. It feels worse because it was all season. The way we started the season is not dissimilar from the way we ended the season, where it's like we played inferior to a team that we should be smoking. That's how we started the season. That's how we finished the season. We had a handful of good performances all year, but largely it's just been a lot of shit football. So I'm glad the season's come to an end. I'm glad that the new regime knows the problems are very stark. They're very apparent. The gulf between us and the top teams is enormous and has been. It's only been widening. So they've got a lot of work to do. They've got a bunch of big decisions to make, especially in the near term, around what they're going to do with Erik ten Hag. Are they going to fire him? Are they going to fire him when? Are they going to? I don't know what they're going to do. We'll see what's going to happen. But either way, the team's a mess. But, hopefully it doesn't get worse from here. I can't imagine it getting worse. I think we're going to stagnate for a couple of seasons at least. But hopefully it doesn't get worse than 60 points, because this is brutal. The season was so long and so shitty throughout that there were very few positives other than some youngsters breaking through and some fun goals. Otherwise, it's been torture.
It has been. Also, there's no European football for Manchester United in the league, which is the first time in the modern era as well. So, in addition to our worst European campaign in the history of our club, we actually have not qualified for Europe in the modern era either. So, again, you could stack up these record-breaking L's that we're just putting salt and hot sauce on and just eating and chowing down. And that's just the type of year it is. And I feel like it's almost, there's seasons where you're not playing well, and the Rangnick season was rough and people are kind of making fun of you. And then there's a season like this where people don't even make fun of you because you're that bad. This is so bad that you're just irrelevant. And that there's just a new level of just
been better that way.
Despair.
To be honest,
it's more depressing.
People have been leaving us alone
because you could kind of be oh, we're gonna be back. It's because we have this interim guy. He hasn't coached forever. We made the wrong call. We're gonna get a real coach. There's a lot of things you could say, and then now I feel like there's just what do we do with this roster? What do we do with this coach? What do we do with this club? What do we do with this team? There's so many questions. It's gonna take so long to fix. It's kind of this is the low. I hope this is the low. And I also want to say, not all 60-point seasons can be compared, right? Because we could play 60 points next season, get 8th place, and start playing the Ajax way or attractive football and making mistakes and learning a new system, and the youth are coming through and we're building a new squad and there's camaraderie and there's fight, and you finish 8th and the next year you're going to make some additions and you're going to jump. This is not that. So I want to say, it's simple to say, 8th place is the worst finish. You would take that next year if you're doing all of the things I mentioned. The problem is this year we're doing the opposite of that, and that's why I think it's to have the eye test be that bad, even today when you have a positive result, the whole year, and then what are we going to do next year? That's why I think there's just fans are so upset. It's been the worst season, right? Because there's nothing to really build on.
100%. We've arguably overperformed based on how poor we've been from a pitch perspective. So I couldn't agree more. It's felt bad. It's looked bad. We've gotten away with them because we still have great players in certain positions. And not, all the hot sauce in the world couldn't wash away the shit football out of your mouth for 38 games. And that's how simple it is. It's been brutal all year. And, yeah, hopefully next year's better. But like you said, it's like, it doesn't even matter the placement. It's like, how do you do it? Do you perform? Do you show up to games? Do you have some kind of style? Do the players want to play for the manager? Excuse factory, right? The excuse factory should be coming from my mouth, not the manager's mouth. It's just been exhausting.
And I'll just, I don't have the updated stats at post game, but going into the Brighton game, from an XG perspective, 1.34 per game, we were 13th in the league. 1.87 against, we were 18th in the league. That's like relegation position from like conceding chances. 40 open play goals that we created, that's 10th in the league. 392 open play shots created, that's 9th in the league. Shots faced, 643. We're 19th in the league in how many shots we conceded. 200 set piece shots faced, 20th in the league. Last place as far as conceding shots from set pieces, no surprise to any United fan. And just overall possession, 49%, 10th in the league. I mean, these are very bad numbers. You know, when you get into like, are we playing in a way that we could build on? And that's where I'm looking at shots faced, 19th. That's probably that's the worst stat you could have, in my opinion. Also, the 18th in XG conceded, 17th, or 18th in XG conceded. Those two stats together say there's not much you can build on there.
It's been a rough season. I'm happy it's over. I love doing this pod. I love this team, but we shouldn't be at the end of a season. I'm so glad it was over. Like that's not good. Go. This is not like a trek up and down Everest. Like I'm glad it's over. It's like that. Like this is supposed to be fun. This season was not fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fucking fun, guy. I hope next weekend's fun. I would love to Pip. I hate City. I hate Pep. I hate their fans. I hate the way the league talks about the team. I hate everything about him. But Pip and them, even with this manager who I've fallen out with, like, I'd love that. I'd love that, and that would make me happy. But right now, dude, this has been a bear. This has been something to get through. And you know what? We appreciate the fans listening week in, week out. It's been a burden.
We're trying to call it. Look, I'm trying to say, hey,
we're not lying, dude.
Are there numbers? Like, I'm trying to look at the numbers and be like, this is the style of play, and like, what are we doing? And like, these numbers are important to look at. But like you said, as a fan, as a Muppet, the gut that I am happy a Manchester United season is over is insane. And that is my feeling. It is relief. It is thank God this is over. Thank God we can get back to the drawing board because we cannot do this again. And that is the issue that I have. It's like you could stats all the way. You can read them all and like overthink it. But like you said, I woke up this morning and I was happy. It's over. I've never felt that way. I'm always like sad. I'm always like bummed. Because we always watch all the games together, doing all the pods. Like, obviously, we do the pods in the summer, but just having the games. And when the season ends, I'm usually like, there's like a depressed state. It's true. Now I'm like, thank God I don't have to watch this. This is so bad. And like, that just says it all. So you literally put the nail in the coffin of the season. Put a stake in it. It's done.
Right through its open. It's true. It's like I never leave a season like, oh, God, thank God that's over.
All right, let's get into the main man, the manager, Erik ten Hag. He's breaking it down.
First half, we were not 100% in control. And in halftime, we made some changes. And then second half was much better. Defending organization, got more press on the ball. It was more effective, but also in possession, we kept better the ball. And from there on, we made movements in behind where before halftime already, in the first stage, we lost the ball. And then we had never movements in behind because when you lose the ball, the second stage is never coming.
Do you think the Højlund coming on to turn the game? And can I ask you, do you know your cup final team now?
I would say the manager, the coaching team has luxury problems, which is good.
And Højlund turning the game, do you think that was the main thing?
I think he came in after we scored a goal already with the movement from Diogo in behind. But then he came in and he showed a very fresh coming as on Wednesday as well. Scored two great goals, I think. And as you say, I think he makes a very good impression.
Højlund's done very well coming on, getting those goals. But the way you've set up this week, does that indicate that you're considering going with a full side against City next week, as you did at the Etihad? Is that for those the dilemmas you've got?
Dilemma. I think it's a luxury problem, and I think both formations can be a success because, as you know, we can play like the setup in Etihad, where we were a threat. I think with movement in behind. But of course, with Rasmus Højlund in this form, it's absolutely a consideration and a thought, but we have to consider and we have to take. So.
All right, he's talking about the false nine. We can see the FA Cup final. What do you make of the manager's comments here?
About the same, about what you expect from Eric Ten Hag at this point. So,
oh, it's good. Vanilla ice cream. I'll take it.
Yeah. What do you expect? Come on, this is not rock and roll.
Last match of the season.
That's it. Let's go.
FA Cup final, Wembley. We're going to Wembley. We're the famous Manchester United. That's where we belong. Manchester United versus Manchester City. FA Cup final, Saturday, May 25th, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Early.
Lifetime versus the Shitty Blues. We've won 78, drawn 53, lost 61.
They caught up.
They're climbing up.
They're catching up.
First time we played them, Manchester United versus Ardwick. We beat them 5-1 in the FA Cup. Last 5. Woo, my man.
Not great, Bob.
Not great. Lost 4-1-1.
We won one. Hey.
And one of those was in the FA Cup final last June, where they beat us 2-1. Everyone blamed David De Gea. The rest is history. Last 5 for City. Obviously, they just cooked West Ham 3-1. Tottenham 2-0. Fulham 4-0. Wolves 5-1. Nottingham Forest 2-0. I think we struggled against all those teams, and they dispatched them to win their 4th EPL title in a row. They're playing the 4-1-4-1 Holland. The Norwegian, he's going to get
Cinderella story. Cinderella story. Let's go. You go. Oh,
he's
man.
hungry.
De Bruyne.
Hungry Holland. Hungry Holland. De Bruyne behind him. Foden heard of that guy. Doku. Where'd they get this guy? Guardiola. Rodri. Diaz. Akanji.
Our backup keeper is a killer.
He's like a mini-me. Ortega. Like the whole team. I mean, just like Terminator. You ever see the Terminator where the robots are coming with the machine guns? That's where we're headed.
Basically.
Hate to talk them up.
11 Hollands.
They were back in the day, you know, kind of a banter club.
They still are a banter.
No, with Balotelli, they weren't consistent. Pep's turned them into the Terminator. I mean, they just literally
they're a machine.
Hot knife through butter.
They're like that fun. You know, it's like watching a machine.
It's crazy that a team like you have to understand. Like we glossed over the title, but the fact that those teams were able to win out. And like United was never like that. It was always nervy, way more nervy when we were winning titles. And this just whole like win every single game.
Financial doping. I mean,
obviously,
but he's
Arsenal
an amazing coach.
aren't, and they're pushing them to the brink. You know, we don't like Arteta, but
They built a club. They built a squad. They built it over and over. They spent a shit ton of money, and they've broken every rule in the book. But he's obviously one of the great managers of all time. I do think there'll be a doping cloud shrouded on his legacy in the next couple decades. It might take a while. But they've also like taken some of the joy out of the league, and now it's just, I don't know, it's a one-horse league, and we're not the one horse anymore, so it sucks.
It sucks. Physio room injuries, Malacia, Magoo, Martial. Malacia, Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, sir. Those are the injuries. We're getting healthier.
We are. That's a short list.
What is your 11 for the FA Cup
final? Here we go. Onana in net. AWB, Varane, Martinez, Delo. We're playing Varane, Martinez one last time. Let's see if they can make it. Casemiro, Kobe, Bruno, Garnacho on the left, Højlund up front, Ahmad on the right. So what you got?
I agree on the back 4. You got Onana, AWB, Varane, Martinez, Delo, Casemiro, Kobe, Bruno. This one's interesting. It's like I think you got to get Garnacho, McTominay, and Ahmad. I think you're going to have the false 9 Bruno McTominay situation because that if you think about
I know
what could throw a wrench in City's plan, it's like the Højlund, whenever we put him up as a sub also, like Højlund as a sub is doing much better when things are kind of opening up, and I feel like he kind of gets into this mix of hold-up play, playing too close to the other center backs, and it would just be too easy for City. So I think that McTominay bombing in late, Bruno maybe, I feel like that's kind of a little more chaotic for him.
And you get an extra body with height in McTominay who can defend, right? We're going to be defending a lot of defending. And Højlund, he's looked good off the bench, and their center backs are so good. Like if you put him in with fucking Diaz, Guardiola, or whoever they put, like Yeah,
It's like I'm just gonna just
he'll
like
get
make
chewed up.
another footballer just like amazing out of nothing. It's like obviously costs a lot of money, but that guy,
He's a killer. He's 20 bro.
I know.
22.
Noisy neighbors.
Anthony. So you're gonna sign Anthony instead.
The neighbors were kind of noisy. Then they got a new speaker system. Then they upgraded it. Now they're facing at our house, and it's really loud. So as
Really
far as the
loud.
bookies go, sir, I'm gonna get your song going.
City of the favorites, as you would expect. Dollar minus 330 for City, plus 450 for the draw, which means it goes to extra time, and plus 650 for United to win in regular time. Given the odds, sir, what is your score prediction?
I'm gonna go with 3-0. City win it, get the double. And the real odds are if Ten Hag gets sacked shortly after the end of the match.
Oh, that poll will be ready, I'm sure. Yeah, I think 3-1 City. I think on paper, it looks like it was close. This is what always happens when we play them. You know, they like have all the possession. We'll get like one shot on target, and they'll go easy on us, 3-1.
No, I hate to say it's like I hate to say. I actually think that me predicting 3-0, this will be closer. I actually think this will be a close game. Everyone like you look at the odds and it's like City's gonna win guaranteed. They're a little nervy. I mean, you saw them play against Tottenham. It was nervy. They got the backup keeper in there.
It's also United.
It's one of those
Manchester United
things.
in a final.
Puncher's chance is we have a puncher's chance.
We do 1 out of 10.
So I'm gonna say, like you said, the odds are probably decently on top of it, like 6-1, but
like 1 out of 8.
because you have to think over the extra time plus penalties.
Yeah.
Odds would be to City, but it should be closer. The only issue is that we have if City score early and then we kind of lower the shoulder, that type of situation, which I don't think will happen. Maybe 2-3 type of, maybe we get a goal. It's got that type of fight. I think everyone thinks it's gonna be a blowout. I do not think it'll be a blowout, despite me predicting 3-0. I just think that's me being conservative. And then let's just jump into the news. United in the news. All right. Sir, we got a lot to talk about here. Tommy T confirms Bayern Munich exit to fuel talk of summer options.
And they wanted him, right?
Very interesting here.
Bayern were trying to keep Tuchel.
It came out where he was they're going to part ways in February. And then he was interested in staying, and then a day later he's out, right? So it's this kind of dance in the press. Who's leaking what from what side? You're trying to read the tea leaves, like we say here on the podcast. This one's interesting, and you haven't heard nothing from Tuchel's camp since, obviously, Bundesliga ended on Saturday. Xabi Alonso, undefeated.
Unbelievable.
With Leverkusen, won the trophy. Must be nice to see that. As a Leverkusen fan, so he doesn't want to leave. He's going to stay. Interesting decision from him. Probably angling for like a Madrid job or something big.
Yeah, exactly.
But regardless, let's talk about United. Also, then you had De Zerbi. All of a sudden, De Zerbi Friday. De Zerbi's out. Or Brighton. I forget. It was like De Zerbi's going to be linked to Bayern. Then Bayern said we're not going to hire him. Then he said he's not going to be the manager again at Brighton. So then all this news from De Zerbi started kicking up, and then he's out. Tuchel's out. Now you got two men. You got Barca looking for somebody. The Liverpool went with some shit Dutch manager. So I'm gonna enjoy that Dutch football,
Ten
bro.
Hag, basically. A chubbier Ten Hag.
Enjoy the Dutch football. We've seen enough of it here at United with two different Dutch managers. And so then you got this whole, I don't know what's going to happen. But if I'm calling it straight, if Bayern wants Tuchel goes back to Bayern unless United's available. So I think something this week went down, and there's sort of been this like game of chicken, and now it's all going down. And I feel like Barca might get De Zerbi and United get Tuchel. There's no way Tuchel leaves Bayern on the table if he doesn't have another job like done. And that job is either you think Tuchel's going to Barcelona, you think he's going to United, and you think De Zerbi quit for no reason. I don't know. I would say that these guys probably have jobs, or there's a serious handshake on it. For me, this says Ten Hag's probably done. We're getting Tommy T. That's just like a Muppets guess reading the tea leaves, shaking the magic 8 ball.
Yeah, I don't know where De Zerbi fits in the mix, but I do agree with you. Like, So Bayern has waffled, right? They tried to get Xabi Alonso. He rebuffed them. They tried to get Rangnick. He rebuffed them. And then they went back to Tuchel, and then he said he was out, right? And it all happened this week.
They were into Ten Hag, and then they saw the Crystal Palace game, and they said, "Oh no."
Well, they apparently still might be into Ten Hag.
Well, you know what I'm saying. That was like
everybody turned them down, basically. Everybody turned Bayern down, even Tuchel the second time. And I think I agree with you 100%. The only team, I think you'd stay at Bayern if you had no other options, no other good options. But like going to United when they're going to be a fresh start with new management up top, I think that's pretty attractive. I think he fits the billing. He's the only type of caliber of coach I think that makes sense if you're going to try and win something in the nearish term, right? Like holding on to Bruno, for example, versus going for like a Kieran McKenna. So I think if it was going to be somebody, it should be a Tommy T. Like Tommy T, I can get excited about. Southgate, Potter, I can't get excited about. I'm excited about the changes, but that'd be a bummer. Tuchel is like, he's got something. He's clearly right on the bubble of being an elite manager. He's won the Champions League with Chelsea. He'd flame out, right? But like he'd give us probably at least 18 months of good football, you would think.
Look, we're gonna go deep here. Remember when Bruno was kind of talking about his contract, right? It was like Bruno might not stay. So like, what's really happening behind the scenes is like United has put out in the press, we're gonna get rid of all these players, right? And then all of a sudden Bruno's like, hey, where do I stand? And so he answered that question kind of cagey with Portugal. Then all of a sudden his agent, that's like leverage. His agent's talking to United. Then all of a sudden Bruno came out firm. Love United, going to be here. That probably means there was a new deal. It probably means Bruno knows if Ten Hag is going to be here or not. Probably means Bruno had a conversation about the manager as well. Like these are type of things that are going on behind the, like if you think of what's going on behind the scenes at United, you need to decide, hey, who are we going to keep right now? Big players. Bruno clearly wanted a nod from the club. You're the captain. Do we want you here? Okay, yes, what does it look like? Clearly the answer on Bruno is yes, we want you here. Now, did Bruno say, hey, I'll stay if, or what's the plan? And then Rashford clearly seems to be like almost on the way out as things are kind of materializing. So clearly the club is showing Bruno some love, and then so maybe is United then wrapping up the manager behind the scenes. And look, you got to feel for Ten Hag, but he hasn't been publicly backed.
He has not.
And I would think that if he were to stay, that they would have done that already. Like I would think they would have come out because it would have helped the manager right now. It helped the team, help us ahead of the FA Cup final. And the fact they're letting him kind of flail in the wind a little bit shows me they might be wheeling and dealing. Also, Tuchel, ahead of everything, was like he wanted the United job. He came out publicly, his camp being like, Tuchel wants United.
Everybody does,
right?
To be fair.
No, but it's like he had to say, I want United. The article is like, I want United. Tuchel's camp said, I want United, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like Tuchel's radio silent. And he's out. And so you wouldn't see, if he didn't have a deal, he'd be like, out, and then I want United, or I want Barca, or he'd be kicking up steam. And the fact he went out and then he said, I don't want Bayern. He's out at Bayern, and then he went radio silent, tells me there's a deal done. And it might not be United. It could be Barca. Could be a different club. But for me, it sounds like there's only one club that he would tell Bayern, I don't want to be there. I want to be somewhere else, and that's Manchester United. There's only one club Barca could be a shout, but it's not as clear that they're moving on from Xavi.
Well, let's be honest. There's only 3 clubs in the world bigger than Bayern Munich, and they're Manchester United, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. And Real Madrid has a manager. I don't think Ancelotti is going anywhere this season. We are probably in the market, and Barca are probably in the market. So, like, it'd be hard for him to turn it down. Like I said, everybody wants to be manager of Manchester United. It's like, it's Manchester United, for God's sake. So
it's Manchester United.
I mean, it's Manchester United. It's the most famous club in the world with best fans, best history, and the most upside. It's like you get to come back from the shit. So I think the approach, if I was Ratcliffe and Co., would be basically like what did Wayne Rooney say? He's like, you basically keep the best youngsters and Bruno, and everybody else goes. And that's basically right. It's like you keep Bruno, Højlund, Garnacho, Kobe, Ahmad, and everybody else is up for sale, and you focus on like win now-ish. Obviously, we're not winning the league in the next couple of years, but like you try to get back into Europe, you get frisky in a couple cups, and he would allow you to be frisky because Tuchel he's a good manager. He's a very good manager. He's not just a good manager. He just has that kind of Conte, Mourinho edge where they kind of go fucking nuts after like 3 years. They just can't stay at a job for more than 3 years, but he has talent. He's got a shit ton of talent, and he can walk the walk and talk the talk of being a Manchester United manager, which is easier said than done.
No, all valid points. And with respect to Ten Hag, we're just trying to show you some of the, we're trying to get you to the X-Files, reading the tea leaves, seeing what's coming out in the press. There's you can always read in between the lines for theories of what might be occurring. And it's definitely speculation, definitely kind of get into the X-Files heavy side of things. But the fact that Ineos hasn't backed Ten Hag, and all of a sudden this Tuchel drama out of nowhere, you can see the musical chairs this week just start going with the managers. And I thought it was very interesting. And also the foreshadowing that is the footballing gods, where Tuchel, Bayern, coming to Old Trafford. He gave this interview at Old Trafford, and I'll play a quote from it.
He looks very comfortable.
When he gave this interview, I felt like it was at some point it's meant to be that he be the manager of United. Just the way he spoke, it's almost like he was interviewing for the job. So I'll play the little excerpt here.
Thomas, this must be quite nice for you. You get to come here to Old Trafford and put your feet up.
Yes, I put my feet up. No one puts his feet up in Old Trafford. It's one of the biggest stages in world football. It's a very special atmosphere, and I'm happy to have the privilege to be at the sideline of a Champions League match at Old Trafford. So on these kind of occasions, you need to bring the best out of yourself and out of our team is normal. Nothing else matters.
I mean, hey, he like I said, walks the walk, talks the talk.
Like he said it. He's like, oh, nobody puts their feet up here. This is a great play. It's the way he sells it.
He's interested.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's
Pep wouldn't talk about Manchester United that way because they'll never go to Manchester United, right? But Tuchel, he's always available. He's available every 2 to 3 years. So
no, just like he
has
the
gravitas.
For
he has the gravitas, and you've said this a lot, and you're right. It's like even if we make a shit ton of changes, there's still going to be some people hanging around the hoop next season. And at a certain point, you kind of need a manager who's done it before and kind of command the respect of the players, because you're going to have big name players. You're going to have huge paid players. And even Fergie, when he came down from Scotland, he had huge success in Scotland, even on an international level. And, he was so controversial about the tactics he had around throwing out some of the kind of the players who were a little more casual and heavy on the drinking. And he wanted to go super hardcore. And having that coming into it just helps. So I think Tuchel coming in will give him a lot of ability to push his weight around, whereas that's been more challenging. And Van Gaal, he's had other issues, Ten Hag, but that helps. It helps to be I'm the man. I won the Champions League. Get out of my way.
Totally, absolutely. There's a little more he's right below that top crust of managers, and he has that sort of pedigree and resume that could demand that respect. He does fall out with players, often, and like you say, he's combustible. So it's not all roses. It's just sort of when you look at what's going on, big managers moving around, and all of a sudden United are kind of coy, and then Tuchel's quiet. I don't like a new manager post have a final thing, but that's the way it could go down if it goes down, which is harsh, but. It makes me nervous. It's one of those things. Big call from Ineos here. Just big call. We're kind of teeing up some conspiracies, having fun on the pod, but wherever they go, big call and another big call. They met with Bruno Fernandes last week, like I alluded to in the conspiracy segment, to discuss his future, making it clear they want him to stay. Fernandes and his entourage joined members of United's football leadership at Carrington for a lengthy conversation during which it was underlined that an Ineos-led regime had the intent to continue building around its captain. This is from Ornstein, from The Athletic. This is as good as gold, and you have to think that they're talking about the manager at that conversation. They have to be. They're talking about the managers.
He's the club captain. He's the worthy club captain, and he'll be the club captain regardless of who the next manager is, because I would imagine they're going to be you know what? He has challenges, but I still think he's the best captain at this club right now. And he should be a part of it. I think a lot of this was the fact that they've been saying for months, everybody's for sale except for the big 3 youngsters before Ahmad started taking his chances. And maybe that probably offended Bruno Fernandes because, to be fair, he's been our best player for a long time. So
absolutely fair.
He's earned it. I mean, he's been a great player. He still contributes week in, week out on the pitch. He whinges, but a lot of players whinge. And he should feature. I wanted to stay around for a long time. So
But
This is what
Rashford
they
didn't
do.
have this meeting. So
Yeah,
under
good point.
Richard Arnold,
Rashford's going, bro.
Under Richard Arnold and Murtaugh, Rashford was the one having these meetings.
That's a good
now,
point.
is it fair that they talked about the manager? No, but I do think that they probably are talking about it because if Bruno has strong feelings there, that he would like to know. Now, are they having showdown talks with Erik ten Hag? No, they're having showdown talks with Bruno Fernandes. That tells you a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. So the Ineos, Erik ten Hag relationship, not hearing a lot on that, but we shall see. Saudi Arabia wants to buy Casemiro. They can have him. Stadium renovation, I think everyone's kind of come to the conclusion. Obviously, Ducker says United have considered putting a new roof on Old Trafford.
I got to cut it. You got to tear it. I hate to say it. You got to tear that down.
It's really
man.
unfortunate. And then obviously the new third-team kit, the red, white, and black stripe with the red devil, which is kind of a new thing. We saw the red devil on the third-team kit this year, which I thought was a class act. Now they're kind of going back to that Adidas with the third-team kit. What do you think?
I mean, I don't love it. The leaks always look worse than the real ones do, but I don't love it. I'm sick of stripes. I'm sick of those Adidas stripes. They're just like,
I'll tell you what,
they're wearing on me. They're wearing on me like this season did.
Tommy T looks good in the Adidas. Like Tommy T makes the Adidas
German.
look good.
German
I
on
don't
German.
know. I'm just saying, but like maybe Adidas should talk to him about designing the kit. But you're right. This one, skipping it.
The Snapdragon?
I don't like
what do you think of that logo?
Snapdragon. I don't like Snapdragon.
Snapdragon sounds
Not like
like a-
TeamViewer is better, but it's like the TeamViewer is a little more basic, so you don't really notice it. The Snapdragon, not a fan.
Snapdragon pop. It just
Yeah,
doesn't-
I was about to say the exact same thing. I was just about to say
Like,
the
what
same.
is Snapdragon?
Hey, kits are personal.
They are.
Ever since Nike left, it's been the doldrums of kits. Let's get into fan questions. Been a hell of a year. Last game of the season at Mike United Mets. We would have finished 5th ahead of Spurs if we didn't drop points from winning positions against Brentford, Chelsea, and Liverpool in consecutive games. Regardless of the cup final result, I think Ten Hag should get a chance to stay. What do you make of Delo? Keep or sell?
I think he has done enough this season to cement himself as the backup right back. Like, I think the standard that we need to get to is that Delo would be an adequate and good backup. Play cup games, play in an injury, come off the bench. He's a decent player. I think our standard has to be super high, super high. So, like, he's fine in the interim. I don't think Diogo Delo is going to be winning the Premier League, number 21 for Manchester United. So, like, good backup, but I don't think he's anything more than that. What do you think, sir?
Look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do I think Delo is going to be the right back that brings us to winning the Champions League or the EPL title? No. Do I think he's a problem defending? Yes.
Which is kind of his job.
But I'd like to see him next to some center backs to know what they're doing. But like, if you were to look at it, I'd be like, durability is almost more important than anything right now. The fact he can play on the left and the right, not great on the left, but you need left back, right? Yeah. So it's like, where are you dying? Center back, left back, another CDM, striker. Like, and we don't have enough money. We barely have enough money for 4, and then so I'm not thinking right back. So keep Delo. Again, I just go back to the fact he celebrated against us when he was with AC Milan, and then he was all in the Ronaldo camp, leaving early, all that stuff. I kind of a interesting cat, but he has durability. He has durability.
Which matters.
The celebration I don't care for either.
Which matters. The durability is huge.
But he shows up and he plays, and he does get exposed defensively, and today he did. Like there was a lot of times today he was exposed. Like I'm raw about people are singing his praises. I'm like, give me a break. The guy's got the meat sweats. He got cooked today in the midfield. And you just can't build on that, right? So there's certain players I feel Delo can do it going forward, but it's just his defensive. But you're going to get AWB, so you need another one. So keep him and then buy another right back. Next tweet here, at @D_Cole18. Appreciate all the work you two put in for us all year. A season of shit, football injuries, and it's a wrap. Time for Sergio and Ratcliffe and crew to get down to gutting this club and rebuilding us from the ashes of the Glazers' mismanagement. Less excited for the FA Cup than to see what is the starting 11 next year.
I mean, it's fair. FA Cup, I'm just worried. I don't want. I hate getting. I don't want to get embarrassed. I love this club. I don't want all the United fans and everyone just like licking Man City up and down. But the summer is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to the summer. What do they do with the manager? I mean, like you said, it's the biggest call they're going to make in the near term. So a lot of decisions to be made. I'd love to end on a high. I'm not counting on it. And I'm just hoping, every day is a day closer to better football. That's all I hope for.
Well, let's not forget, last season, going into that game, we had the chance to deny them the treble, and we bottled it, right? So for me as a United fan, I really felt like we played really bad in that game, and there was a lot on the line. Obviously, they won the treble. Nobody cared, but United fans do. And so I think last season was pretty bad. So I need to improve on that, right? If you can improve on last season, I get in the game, be a little frisky. I think that would be a big step forward for United. At Kid Andrew 8, do you believe Garnacho is a starter on the left, or is Rashford still not 100%? His output is lessened over the season, which is understandable for a 19-year-old playing that many consecutive games. What do you make of the left wing?
I mean, he's played too many games, right? At the end of the day, you just can't start a youngster like that every game. You need to mix it up. And even look at Højlund. He had a good run going. He got hurt. He came back from it, couldn't score, and then he got benched, and then came off the bench and has looked quite good. He got kind of the Wayne Rooney treatment back in the day, where sometimes Waza needed a drop, and then he would come back and look excellent. And I think Rashford and Garnacho could be a great interchange. That seems like two terrific options on the left. And now I think Rashford's going to get sold this summer because, for a variety of reasons, Garnacho's a great player, but he still needs time, and you just don't want to have to you don't want to have to start a 21-year-old. You'd like to be able to switch things up, and we haven't been able to do that because of our lack of options. But he's a player. He just needs more time.
I think Rashford is going to get sold. We're going to finish on these two tweets. At Born Seattle, that's a goddamn wrap. I hope we win the FA Cup and sack Ten Hag. Burn it all down, and we'll be ready to rock and roll in August. Sirs, thank you for all the work you do all season long. No kidding. It's been the only positive to find company in the misery. That's what we're here for, pod therapy. Absolutely just taking our licks this year. It has been brutal. There is no hiding it. And let's hope that this summer, everyone take a vacation.
Take a break.
Everybody take a break.
Be good to each other.
Relax.
Be good to each other.
And yeah, let's gear up for another run. Let's get up here and
We're coming back.
I think we could finish in a similar place in the table, but I don't think it'll be as miserable because I think we're going to start shipping a lot of players and hopefully, new man at the wheel. New man at the wheel, give us some hope.
I know one thing. I don't know if we'll start next season with a new coach, but we'll finish next season with a new coach. I do know that.
Yeah, that's and at Man United DYL, quote, we're winning the cup, no doubt about it. Glory, glory, Man United. That's a great one to end on. If you like the America Red Devils, you've been here all season. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/America Red Devils, americaredevils.com for your blog content, americaredevils.store. Alex, do you want to give us our downloads? Top 10 downloads here, last 7 days. What do you say?
Let's do it. We got the best fans in the world. We're just pulling it up. Don't mind us. We appreciate all the American Devils who've been listening week in, week out. It's been an unbelievable season of shit football. Unbelievable.
We can take it. We're from Jersey. Honestly, we're from Jersey. We can take it on the chin,
many
sir.
hits you can endure. But we appreciate all the downloads, all the listens. We will be back. America Devils will be back, and United will be back. It might take a while, but you know what? It'll happen. Top cities last 7 days. Number 1, how you doing? How you doing? Dublin, Ireland, appreciate you. Kerry County as well, we appreciate you. Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, Melbourne, Australia, Brooklyn, New York, Phoenix, Arizona, Houston, Texas, Oslo, Norway, New York, and last but not least, San Francisco, California. Appreciate all the
Ireland.
Week in, week out. Couldn't do it without you. Always darkest for the dawn. Never count us out. We're the famous Manchester United. We're going to Wembley. Come on, boys.
Everybody, let's have a good cup final day. Let's get a win. Here we go.